There are only 14 mountains on Earth that rise higher than 8,000 meters. Above this line, the human body slowly begins to fail. Some climbers survive the summit, but never return the same person. Because on these mountains, the danger isn't just dying, it's what the altitude takes from you permanently. Today we're ranking the 8,000-meter mountains you should only ever climb once, from the least punishing to the one that takes everything. Before we begin, if you enjoy calm, deep-dive documentaries about Earth's most extreme places, like the video and subscribe. It helps more than you think. Now, let's begin our journey. 14. Cho Oyu. We start in the Himalayas, on the border between Nepal and Tibet, to find Cho Oyu. Standing at 8188 meters, it ranks as the 6th highest peak on the planet and remains one of the most significant testing grounds for high-altitude alpinism. First conquered by an Austrian expedition in 1954, an era long before the safety nets of modern GPS or advanced oxygen systems, it proved early on that this giant was accessible, yet formidable. Since that first ascent, roughly 3,600 climbers have stood on its summit. With fewer than 50 fatalities recorded, Cho Oyu maintains a fatality rate of approximately 1%, the lowest of any 8,000-meter peak. However, as any professional guide will tell you, easy is a relative term at these heights. The primary threat here isn't the technical verticality or the crumbling ice falls found on Lhotse. It is the pure physiological toll of the altitude. You are battling thin air that starves your brain of logic, freezing winds that can snap your resolve, and a vast white landscape that induces a unique kind of mental exhaustion. For a budget of $2,000 to $3,000, an expedition here is often seen as the gateway to the death zone. While the climbing community frequently labels Cho Oyu the easiest 8,000er due to its straightforward slopes, we respect it for what it truly is. A high-stakes environment where the air is razor-thin, and even the simplest lapse in judgment can be your last. 13. Lhotse, standing in the formidable shadow of Everest. Lhotse, 85 is far more than just a neighbor. It is the world's 4th highest peak and a masterclass in technical endurance. First summited by a Swiss team in 1956, the route shares the notorious Khumbu icefall with Everest, but the true test begins where the paths diverge. While Everest commands the headlines, Lhotse demands a higher level of technical precision. Once you break away from the main South Col route, you are committed to a sustained, steep, and icy face where the margin for error evaporates. With roughly 1,000 successful summits and 20 fatalities, the 2% death rate might seem lower than some 8,000ers, but don't let the statistics fool you. The dangers here are objective and unforgiving. Constant rockfall, bulletproof blue ice, and a narrow couloir near the summit that offers zero room for hesitation. At a cost of $25,000 to $35,000 for a full expedition, it's a significant investment for any alpinist. While the crowds flock to the Big E, veteran climbers will quietly tell you the truth. The sheer verticality and technical finish make Lhotse the more demanding and arguably more rewarding mountain to climb. 12. Mount Everest. We now turn toward the tallest point on Earth. Standing at a staggering 8848 meters, it remains the ultimate prize in high-altitude mountaineering. Since the historic first ascent in 1953, the mountain has seen a transformation, with over 11,000 climbers successfully reaching the summit. Yet, for all the fixed ropes and modern infrastructure, Everest remains a graveyard, claiming over 330 lives. From a professional standpoint, Everest's 3% fatality rate tells a specific story. Unlike K2 or Lhotse, where technical falls are the primary killers, Everest is a war of attrition. Most fatalities occur in the death zone above 8,000 meters, where oxygen levels plummet to a mere third of what you breathe at sea level. Here, the enemy isn't just the terrain. It's exhaustion, cerebral edema, and the brutal unpredictability of Himalayan weather. It is a place where your body is literally dying every minute you remain stationary. With expedition costs ranging from $4,000 to $7,000, it is the most expensive undertaking in the climbing world. But make no mistake, a high price tag doesn't guarantee safety. While critics point to the crowds, any seasoned alpinist knows that Everest isn't just a climb, it's a grueling battle of endurance. No matter how much gear you carry, or how much you've paid, the mountain always holds the final veto on who is allowed to return home. 11. Karakoram 2. Leaving Nepal behind, we cross into Pakistan's Karakoram range. Moving deeper into the rugged heart of the Karakoram, we encounter Karakoram 2 on G2. At 835 meters, it stands as a sentinel of the Baltoro Glacier and is widely regarded as the most accessible entry point for those looking to break into the 8,000-meter club without breaking the bank. First summited in 1956, the mountain has seen approximately 900 successful ascents and roughly 30 fatalities, maintaining a fatality rate just under 3%. In the world of high-altitude mountaineering, G2 is often categorized as a straightforward climb, but in the Karakoram, that is a dangerous understatement. While the route lacks the extreme verticality of its sister peaks, the true threat is the Karakoram's notorious volatility. You aren't just climbing a mountain. You are gambling with some of the most unpredictable weather systems on Earth. Violent storms and total whiteouts can materialize in minutes, pinning climbers down for days until supplies run dry and mental fortitude breaks. With expedition costs sitting between $12,000 and $18,000, it is undeniably the most affordable way to step into the death zone. However, seasoned pros know that affordable doesn't mean forgiving. While it may be the cheapest ticket to the high-altitude stage, G2 remains a savage environment where the weather, not the climber, dictates the rules of engagement. 10. Broad Peak. In the world of high-altitude mountaineering, Broad Peak, 8051 Metem, is a mountain that demands a special kind of mental fortitude. Named for its massive, sprawling summit ridge, it stands as a sentinel in the Karakoram, just a stone's throw from K2. First conquered in 1957, the mountain has seen roughly 445 successful summits, but its toll is high. About 40 climbers have perished on its slopes. This gives Broad Peak a staggering fatality rate of nearly 9%, a figure that commands respect from even the most seasoned alpinists. As experts, we know the primary threat on Broad Peak isn't necessarily technical crux moves. It is attrition. This mountain is a master of exhaustion. After weeks of battling the elements at altitude, climbers are faced with a summit ridge that feels infinite. In the thin air of the death zone, that never-ending traverse becomes a psychological trap where time and oxygen slip away faster than you realize. It is a grueling test of aerobic capacity and sheer willpower. With expedition costs ranging from $13,000 to $2,000, it's a relatively accessible 8,000er in terms of logistics, but it offers no discounts on safety. Broad Peak is a brutally honest mountain. It doesn't use tricks or hidden traps. It simply presents a massive physical barrier. If you are too slow, too weak, or if your timing is off by even an hour, the mountain will simply refuse to let you pass. 9. Manaslu. Deep in the Gorkha region of Nepal sits Manaslu, the Mountain of the Spirit. Reaching an elevation of 8,163 meters, it is the 8th highest peak on Earth and a mountain of profound contradictions. Since its first successful ascent in 1956, Manaslu has seen its popularity skyrocket, with over 2,000 climbers reaching its summit. However, the prestige comes at a heavy price. More than 100 lives have been lost, pushing the fatality rate toward a sobering 6%. From a mountaineering perspective, Manaslu is a master of deception. While it may lack the sheer vertical rock of Lhotse or the endless ridges of Broad Peak, it is arguably the most dangerous, accessible 8,000er due to its objective hazards. The primary threat here is the snow itself. Manaslu is notorious for its unstable slopes and massive seracs, towering blocks of glacial ice that can collapse without a second's warning. It is an avalanche mountain, where skill and fitness are often secondary to the simple, brutal luck of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. The mountain may look serene from a distance, but the climbing community knows its true nature. Every season, the shifting glaciers and heavy snowfalls serve as a grim reminder of how fragile life becomes in the death zone. Manaslu doesn't just test your lungs and legs, it tests your nerves. It is a place where the mountain holds all the cards, and one silent slide of snow can end a lifetime of preparation in an instant. 8. Makalu, rising like a jagged, four-sided pyramid on the border between Nepal and Tibet, Makalu, 8485 meters, is arguably the most striking and intimidating silhouette in the Himalayas. As the world's fifth highest peak, it occupies a league of its own. Since its first successful ascent in 1955, only about 525 climbers have stood on its summit, a low number that reflects its fierce reputation, while roughly 35 have perished. This leaves Makalu with a fatality rate of nearly 7%, marking it as one of the most dangerous of the 8,000-meter giants. For the elite alpinist, Makalu is the ultimate test of technical proficiency. Unlike the long trudges of Cho Oyu or Broad Peak, the danger here is found in the sheer geometry of the mountain. We're talking about vertical granite faces, knife-edge ridges that leave zero margin for error, and relentless exposure that can shatter a climber's psyche. The final push to the summit is particularly notorious, requiring high-standard rock and ice climbing at an altitude where every breath feels like a struggle for survival. Makalu is a mountain that simply does not allow for mistakes. It is unforgiving and clinical. It demands total, unwavering focus from the moment you leave base camp until you are safely back down. There are no easy sections here. While other peaks might allow for moments of autopilot, Makalu forces you to be an active, technical climber every step of the way. It is a true mountaineer's mountain, reserved for those who possess not just the lungs for the altitude, but the hands for the stone. 7. Shishapangma, 827 m. Located entirely within Tibet, Shishapangma, 8,027 m, may be the lowest of the 14 8,000-meter peaks, but in the mountaineering world, lowest never means easy. For decades, this mountain remained a ghost, closed to foreign eyes and untouched until a Chinese team finally claimed the first ascent in 1964. Since then, it has remained an exclusive club. Only about 350 climbers have stood on its true summit, while roughly 30 have lost their lives. This creates a fatality rate just over 8%, a chilling statistic that places it among the most lethal peaks in the world. As a mountain professional, I look at Shishapangma as a study in objective risk versus technicality. On paper, the route is relatively straightforward, lacking the vertical rock walls of Makalu. However, the mountain's true teeth are its extreme isolation and savage weather. Standing somewhat apart from the main Himalayan chain, it is a lightning rod for brutal, high-velocity winds that can turn a clear day into a life-threatening survival situation in minutes. Shishapangma is quietly dangerous. There are no crowds here to help break trail or offer a rescue. You are exposed to the raw, unbuffered power of the Tibetan plateau. It's a mountain that lulls you into a false sense of security with its manageable slopes, only to trap you in a high-altitude whiteout where help is hundreds of miles away. It is a stark reminder that at 8,000 meters, the weather is a far more efficient killer than the terrain itself. 6. Gasherbrum. While Gasherbrum is often seen as an accessible introduction to the Karakoram, Gasherbrum, 81 also known as Hidden Peak, is a far more sinister and demanding beast. As experts, we recognize G1 as a significant step up in complexity from its neighbor. With only about 350 successful summits and roughly 30 recorded fatalities, its fatality rate sits near a daunting 9%, placing it in the upper echelon of high-risk 8,000-meter peaks. The challenge on G1 is a grueling combination of technical climbing and logistical endurance. Unlike the more straightforward slopes of G2, this mountain forces you to navigate steep, sustained ice walls and treacherous, crevasse-riddled glacier crossings that seem to stretch on forever. There is no autopilot here. The terrain is complex and requires constant vigilance. The physical toll is immense, as the technical demands don't let up until you are well off the mountain. On Gasherbrum, any semblance of comfort or safety disappears the moment you leave the lower camps. It is a mountain of absolute grit, where the thin air and verticality conspire to drain your reserves. Every meter of elevation is a battle against the elements and your own exhaustion. In the mountaineering community, we respect G1 because it doesn't give anything away. Every single step toward that summit is earned through blood, sweat, and expert-level precision. 5. Dhaulagiri. In the trekking circles of Nepal, Dhaulagiri, 81,166 is known as the White Mountain, standing in massive, solitary defiance away from the main Annapurna massif. Since its first ascent in 1960, it has remained one of the most formidable challenges in the Himalayas. With only about 500 successful summits and roughly 70 fatalities, Dhaulagiri carries a fatality rate near 13%, a chilling statistic that places it among the deadliest peaks on the planet. From a mountaineer's perspective, the danger of Dhaulagiri is its extreme isolation and unpredictability. Because it stands alone, it creates its own localized weather systems. A clear morning can transform into a lethal storm in a heartbeat. The mountain is a magnet for high-velocity winds and catastrophic avalanches that sweep down its massive faces without warning. Unlike Everest, there is no massive infrastructure here to save you. If things go wrong, you are truly on your own in one of the most remote corners of the high Himalayas. Dhaulagiri is the ultimate master of deception. From a distance, its sprawling, snow-covered ridges look peaceful, almost inviting. But experienced climbers know the truth. It is a mountain of sudden, violent shifts. It lures you in with its beauty, only to remind you with brutal force that at 8,000 meters, peace is merely an illusion. On Dhaulagiri, the mountain is always in control, and it only takes one rapid change in the atmosphere to turn a summit bid into a fight for survival. 4. Kangchenjunga. Rising from the border of Nepal and India, Kangchenjunga, 8586 metim, is the silent titan of the Himalayas. As the third highest mountain on Earth, it is a peak of immense scale and profound spiritual weight. The statistics alone are enough to give even the most elite climber pause. Fewer than 500 people have ever reached its summit, while more than 85 have perished on its slopes. This leaves Kangchenjunga with a fatality rate close to 18%, a number that firmly establishes it as one of the most lethal environments in the high-altitude world. From a mountaineering standpoint, Kangchenjunga is a masterclass in sustained suffering. It is incredibly remote, meaning rescue is often a statistical impossibility. The weather is notoriously unpredictable, and the sheer length of the summit push is legendary. But what truly sets this mountain apart is its soul. It is considered a sacred peak. Out of respect for local traditions and the deities that reside there, many climbers, ourselves included, stop just a few meters short of the true summit, leaving the very highest point untouched. Kangchenjunga does not offer tours or easy routes. It is a mountain that demands every ounce of your physical strength, mental resolve, and spiritual humility. It is a place of raw, unbridled power where the margin for error is non-existent. In our community, we say that Kangchenjunga takes everything you have to give, and often it takes even more. It remains a pinnacle of alpinism, reserved for those who are prepared to lose everything in the pursuit of the divine. 3. Nanga Parbat. In the inner circles of the mountaineering world, one name commands a unique kind of dread: Nanga Parbat, 8,126 meters. Earning the grim title of the Killer Mountain, its reputation is built on a legacy of tragedy and sheer vertical defiance. With only around 450 successful summits and over 85 recorded deaths, it holds a fatality rate near 20%. For every 5 climbers who reach the top, one has historically paid the ultimate price. What makes Nanga Parbat a nightmare for even the most elite alpinists is its staggering relief. The mountain is home to the Rupal Face, a colossal wall of rock and ice that rises over 4,000 meters vertically from the valley floor. It is widely considered one of the largest and most dangerous mountain walls on Earth. To climb here is to be exposed to objective hazards: avalanches, rockfall, and sudden, violent storms, for days on end, without a single moment of safety. On Nanga Parbat, there is no such thing as an easy day. The technical difficulty is relentless, and the psychological pressure of climbing such an immense face is crushing. It is a mountain that offers no compromise and no mercy. When you step onto those slopes, you are entering a world where survival is never guaranteed, and only the most seasoned, iron-willed climbers dare to test their luck against the killer. 2. K2. In the climbing community, we don't call it a mountain. We call it the Savage Mountain. Standing at 8,611 meters, K2 is the second highest peak on Earth, but in terms of sheer lethality and technical demand, it is second to none. The numbers are staggering. While thousands have stood on Everest, K2 has seen only about 520 successful summits. With more than 135 deaths, it maintains a fatality rate near 26%. Statistically, for every 4 people who reach the top, 1 dies trying. From a technical perspective, K2 is a nightmare of verticality. Unlike Everest, there are no flatter sections to catch your breath. From the moment you leave base camp, every route is steep, every pitch is technical, and the exposure is constant. You are navigating infamous obstacles like the house chimney and the Black Pyramid, only to reach the bottleneck, a narrow couloir sitting directly beneath a massive, unstable sérac. It is a place where you are essentially gambling with your life against falling ice that could strike at any second. On K2, gravity is your constant enemy. The mountain is unforgiving. It doesn't just challenge you, it punishes every minor lapse in judgment with lethal speed. Perhaps the most terrifying truth about this peak is that there is no easy way down. Most accidents happen during the descent, when exhaustion sets in and the steep, technical terrain becomes even more treacherous. It is the ultimate test of a mountaineer, a place where skill, luck, and survival are balanced on a razor's edge. 1. Annapurna. We have reached the end of the line. This is Annapurna Y. At 8,091 meters, it is only the 10th highest peak on the planet, but in the world of elite alpinism, it is recognized as the undisputed deadliest mountain on Earth. The statistics are a grim warning to anyone who dares to set foot on its slopes. Only around 365 climbers have ever reached the summit, while more than 110 have perished. This leaves Annapurna with a fatality rate near 30%. To put that in perspective for you, statistically, one person dies for every 3 who successfully summit. On Annapurna, the traditional rules of mountaineering are often rendered useless. While skill and fitness are mandatory, they are frequently overshadowed by objective hazards that you simply cannot control. The mountain is a shooting gallery of massive, spontaneous avalanches and collapsing séracs. The north face is a labyrinth of unstable ice where the question isn't if the mountain will shed its skin, but when. On this peak, luck matters more than skill. You can be the strongest climber in history, but if a city-sized block of ice decides to fall while you are in its path, there is no escape. Annapurna doesn't forgive mistakes, and it doesn't care about your resume. It is the final, most brutal gatekeeper of the 8,000-meter peaks. It is a place of haunting beauty and terrifying violence, the perfect, somber point to end our journey through the world's highest reaches. At 8,000 meters, survival is never guaranteed. Which of these mountains would you dare to climb? And which one would you never even dream of touching? Tell me in the comments. If you enjoyed the journey, like, subscribe, and join me next time as we explore more of Earth's most extreme places.